The pen slipped from Victoria Hale's hand. It struck the marble floor of the executive lobby and spun in a slow circle. Across from her, a tired man in a faded blue shirt stood holding the hand of a little girl with one pink sneaker untied. Victoria stared at the application on the desk. Applicant, Daniel Mercer. For a moment, she forgot how to breathe. "Where did you get that name?" she whispered. Daniel looked confused. "My mother gave it to me." Victoria's face drained of color. Because 22 years earlier, she had written that exact name on the back of a photograph she had kept hidden from the world. And the man standing before her had no idea why. Daniel Mercer had applied for the janitor job because his rent was due in 4 days. That was the truth. At 39, Daniel had once repaired elevators in some of the tallest buildings in Chicago. He knew how to work with his hands, how to solve problems, and how to come home exhausted without complaining. But after his wife, Anna, died 3 years earlier, everything changed. Their daughter, Lily, was only 5 then. Daniel had taken fewer jobs so he could be home with her. Then the elevator company downsized. One missed paycheck became 2. Savings disappeared into groceries, school clothes, and hospital bills that had arrived long after Anna was gone. Now Lily was 8. And Daniel had learned that being a good father did not stop life from sending envelopes marked final notice. So on a bright Monday morning, he put on his cleanest shirt and walked into Hale Global Headquarters. Lily had no school because of a teacher training day, and Daniel couldn't afford childcare. "Stay close," he told her. "I always stay close." That was almost true. The interview lasted less than 10 minutes. The facilities manager barely looked at Daniel's application. "No janitorial experience." "I've cleaned every place I've ever worked," Daniel said. The manager didn't smile. "That's not what I meant." Daniel nodded and thanked him anyway. As he turned to leave, Lily pointed toward the enormous glass lobby. "Dad," he followed her finger. An elderly man in a wheelchair had knocked over his coffee. It had spread across the polished floor, dangerously close to an electrical outlet. 3 employees stepped around it. Daniel didn't. He grabbed a stack of napkins from a nearby cafe, unplugged the extension cord, and cleaned the spill before anyone could slip. The old man looked embarrassed. "I'm sorry," he said. Daniel handed him the last napkin. No reason to be. From the second-floor balcony, Victoria Hale saw everything. And when the facilities manager returned Daniel's application to her assistant for routine processing, Victoria saw his name. That was when the pen fell from her hand. Victoria was one of the richest women in America, but money had never bought her the one answer she wanted. When she was 19, she had fallen in love with a young man named Samuel Mercer. Samuel had been brilliant, stubborn, and poor. He repaired radios at night while studying engineering during the day. Victoria's father hated him, not because Samuel was cruel, because Samuel had nothing. Her father had spent years building Hale Industries and believed love was a luxury people like Victoria could not afford. When Victoria discovered she was pregnant, she panicked. Her father promised to destroy Samuel's future if she stayed with him. Young and terrified, Victoria made the worst decision of her life. She disappeared. By the time Samuel found out the truth, Victoria had already lost the baby during complications. Or so she had been told. She never saw Samuel again. Until the name on Daniel's application. Mercer. The same age Samuel's son would have been. Victoria told herself it was impossible. Names meant nothing. Still, she couldn't let it go. She ordered her assistant to find Daniel before he left. Daniel thought he was being called back because he had done something wrong. Instead, he was brought to the top floor. Lily clutched his hand as the elevator opened onto a silent office filled with sunlight. Victoria stood beside the window. She looked at Daniel for a long time. "Did you know your father?" she finally asked. Daniel stiffened. "That's a strange interview question." Victoria looked down. "You're right." Daniel relaxed slightly. "My dad died when I was 12. What was his name?" Daniel's eyes narrowed. "Samuel." Victoria closed her eyes. The room went completely still. Lily looked between them. "Do you know my grandpa?" Daniel gave a small, awkward laugh. "No, sweetheart." But Victoria whispered, "Yes." Daniel turned toward her. And suddenly, the billionaire CEO looked less like one of the most powerful women in the country and more like someone standing at the edge of a memory she had spent decades trying to bury. Victoria told him only part of the truth. She said she had known Samuel when they were young. Daniel sat down slowly. "My father never talked about you." I didn't deserve to be talked about kindly. That answer made Daniel uneasy. Then Victoria asked the question that changed everything. Do you have any family? Daniel looked at Lily. Just her. What about Samuel's family? Daniel shook his head. None that I know of. Victoria stepped closer. Your father? Did he ever tell you where you were born? Daniel frowned. At a hospital in Milwaukee. What? Victoria's face changed again. Because Daniel had been born in Chicago. She knew that much. For the first time, Daniel felt something was seriously wrong. Ms. Hale, he said quietly, what aren't you telling me? Victoria opened her mouth, then stopped. Her assistant entered with a folder. Victoria took it and stared at the first page. Daniel saw her hands begin to shake. No, she whispered. He stood. What is it? Victoria looked at him. Her eyes filled, but she did not cry. Not yet. Daniel, your birth certificate was amended when you were 3 months old. Daniel felt Lily squeeze his fingers. My mother was ill, he said. My father said there were complications. Victoria nodded slowly. There were. The folder contained hospital records recently digitized after an old legal archive had been acquired by Hale Global. And hidden inside was a sealed document. A DNA sample. A maternity record. A name. Victoria Hale. Daniel stepped backward. No. Victoria's voice broke. I thought you died. Daniel stared at her as if she had spoken another language. Then he looked at Lily. Then back at the woman who had just told him his entire life might be built on a lie. The billionaire CEO had not frozen because she recognized his father. She had frozen because the man applying for a janitor job appeared to be the son she had mourned for 39 years. Daniel left the building without taking the job. For 3 days, he ignored Victoria's calls. He didn't want her money. He didn't want a mansion. And he didn't know whether he wanted another mother. The woman who raised him had been his mother in every way that mattered. She had packed his lunches, held him when he was sick, and worked double shifts to give him a better life. But she had died 5 years earlier without ever revealing the secret. Daniel was angry, not only at Victoria, at Samuel, at the world, at himself for wanting answers. Then Lily found him sitting alone in the kitchen. Are you sad? A little. Do you have 2 moms now? Daniel almost laughed. I don't know. Lily climbed into his lap. You can have one in heaven and one you just met. For the first time in days, Daniel smiled. Children had a way of making impossible things sound simple. He returned to Hale Global the following Monday. Victoria was waiting, but Daniel stopped her before she could speak. I took the job. She blinked. The janitor job? Yes. Victoria looked hurt. Daniel, you don't have to. I know. He paused. But I need to. He needed work. He needed routine. And maybe, someday, he needed to understand the woman standing in front of him. Victoria offered him a private office, a management position, anything he wanted. Daniel refused. I applied to clean floors, he said. Don't turn me into a charity project. Victoria nodded. That was her first lesson from the son she had lost. Love could not begin with control. So Daniel became a janitor at Hale Global. And every evening, Victoria would sometimes see him through the glass walls, pushing a cart down the hallway, humming softly while Lily did homework in a nearby conference room. Weeks passed. Then one night, Victoria found Daniel repairing a loose wheel on his cleaning cart. You could have asked maintenance, she said. Daniel smiled without looking up. I was maintenance before I was a janitor. Victoria sat beside him on the floor. For the first time in 40 years, neither of them tried to fix the past. They simply sat there. 2 strangers. 2 family members. 2 people learning that blood could reveal a connection. But only time, kindness, and forgiveness could turn it into love. And sometimes, the greatest thing you can find after losing your way isn't a fortune, a title, or a second chance. Sometimes, it's a person who was never supposed to be gone.